Hi, this is my case study over parental apathy. My first slide. What do I know? I know several things. First of all, I am at a school with very little parental involvement. However, as the assistant principal, I am working on getting my parents more involved. Second thing I know is that I have a supportive principal. However, he seems to be kind of dragging his feet. I think he wants to get the community involved, he just doesn't know how. If I can have him on my side, I'll be in good shape. The next thing I know is that I have 8 parents that are interested in becoming more involved on some type of parental committee. What do I need to know? Well, I have several questions. My first one is, how big of a district am I working in? For a small 1A or 2A school like Plainville, 8 parents is a pretty good turnup. I would be okay having that many on my advisory committee. Number 2, are my 8 parents that are at the meeting excited to help see change in the school, or are they there to find the negatives? The view and attitude and outlook of my parents will be a big part on if our connection with the community is going to be successful. Number 3, I want to know why the parent groups in the past have failed. Why is my principal so against having a PTA or a PTO? Did something happen, or does he just not really believe in it? What's the problem? Well, the biggest problem is the obvious one, and that is that the school doesn't have very much community or parental involvement. Number 2, there seem to be very few communication channels. The only one that we have mentioned is sending notes home to parents and backpacks of kids. I think that's probably one of the poorest ways to communicate. And number 3, we need to find a positive way to get parents and the community involved in the school. We mentioned that lunch duty was kind of how we tried to get them involved before, and I think we can just find better ways and better ideas to get the community members and parents more involved. My plan of action. I have 3 steps. Each step has 3 subcategories. My first step is get on with the meeting. To cancel the meeting would be one of the worst things the school could do. It would totally destroy any hope we ever had of getting our parents and the community involved. At the meeting, we're going to discuss the different ways that we would like to have our parents and the community involved. We want to have sponsors for field trips. We want to have classroom helpers. We want to have people in the lunchroom. We want to have party planners. We want to have a PR rep. We want to have a social media rep. We want the parents directly involved with the school. The next part of step 1 is I would brainstorm ways to connect better with the community. I'll do this with my parents, my principals, and my teachers. How is the best way to get a hold of everyone that's involved in the community? Do we send them newsletters? Do we get a school website that works a little bit better? Do we use social media? Do we use phone calls? Do we use emails? What is our best chance at getting everybody involved? Step 2 is to reach out. We're going to inform teachers, students, support staff, everyone involved about the meeting. We're going to get them excited about the 8 parents that we had show up. Next, we're sending out a second letter telling everyone what happened. So a letter, an email, and a phone call will go to the parents telling them that we have 8 volunteers, we have a parent advisory committee formed, and that we would love to have more people on it. We're going to stress to the community that it's never too late to get involved in our school system. If they want to join, they're welcome to join anytime, and they can be involved to the extent that they want it. They could do once or twice a week, they could do once or twice a month, once or twice a year. We don't care what they do, we just want them there, we want them involved. Step 3 is, I think, the most important one and the most difficult one for a lot of schools to do. It's actually following through. It's easy to set goals to keep people there. It's keeping them there and following through with your plan that's hard. So we're going to get the parents that came to the meeting involved right away. We're going to get them in the classroom, get them in the school, get them working so that they can see what we need help with. I also want them to see what's happening inside the district. I want them to see what's going on in the classrooms, see how the hallways are run, see how things go. I'm also in that step going to meet with my teachers so that everyone's on the same page, just so parents know what's going on, teachers know what's going on, students know what's going on. Next, we're going to find ways again to reach out with the community. This was in step 2 and 3 because it's so important. I'm going to ask my parents and stakeholders that I managed to get involved in my first round what the best way to communicate with everyone else is. Lastly, we're going to recruit. We want to get people involved. We want them to hear our message until they are sick of hearing our message. Get in our school system. See our kids. Come see what our school is doing to improve. Number 3, Issues that we might have that we want to use to promote success for all students. Number one, like I mentioned before, we've got to find ways to communicate with the community besides just sending note homes. Besides the fact that we only reach parents with notes, notes in a backpack just aren't a very good way to get things home to parents. We need to do phone calls, emails, texts, any type of alert that parents will see that don't come from the kids. We also need to find ways to get messages to our small business owners, our taxpayers, or people that don't have kids in the school district. The second issue we had was the principal assumed that nobody in the community wanted to be involved based on just a sense and a feeling he got from a couple of parents. His assumptions aren't going to dictate how the community as a whole gets to interact with the school. I think that's unfair to our kids, unfair to community members, unfair to our staff. So we're going to find ways to break past that barrier. The next issue is going to be getting the community involved directly with the kids. I want my kids going to the small businesses, seeing those owners, seeing people that are maybe in our retirement homes, getting everybody involved with everybody, get the generation gaps closed a little bit. Having the kids and the community members interacting with each other will have positive effects no matter what you put it in. Next thing, our feelings and my problems with everything. My first feeling was a little bit of anger towards the principal. He might have had negative feelings towards the community, but that's a lesson that I want to learn on my own. I felt like when he was telling me he didn't want to have parents, that it wasn't worth our time to get the community involved, that was his opinion, which he probably has learned the hard way and doesn't want me to have to go through again, but that's a lesson that I need to learn. My next feeling was just shock. I couldn't believe how little connection there was between the school and the community. In my opinion, like I mentioned before, the best way to get a message home is probably not in the backpack of a child on Friday night. Lastly, I was excited. There is so much room in this community for growth, and not only do I get to be in the middle of it, I get to lead the charge. I get to see how our kids are going to grow, how our community is going to get more involved with the school. I'm the one that gets to help organize all of that stuff and watch the growth of our students, because that's what it's all about. There are several issues that we still have unresolved. The first one being, how many parents have we still not reached? Even with our phone calls and our emails and our texting and our letters home, do we have parents that still haven't got our message? And if we do, how do we reach those parents? Next, how do we get more of the community involved? So, we've done what we can. We've sent our emails, we've sent our Facebook messages, we've sent all of our other social media, we've done texts, we've done all of those things, we've done notes home. But now, how do we get everyone? How do we get the whole entire picture, whole entire town involved into our school? Lastly, how long is it going to take to change the attitude of the town? Because, in my opinion, not only are we building this community and school relations from the ground up, we're also trying to change the attitude as we go. Because where we might not have a negative attitude, I don't think we have a positive. If anything, we just are very mute on the subject of community and town, or community and school interactions. We've got to get those interactions being made and made with a positive attitude. Next, how did I, as the building level administrator, try to collaborate with families and community members to contribute to the school's success? Well, my goal is obviously to find different communication channels besides Notes Home. I want to use anything and everything I can. If we can get a TV channel up and going for the town, that would be awesome. Plainville has one, and it's one of the best things we do because it runs 24/7. If you want updates on the school, updates on the rec center, or anything that the school helps with, you can get on, and it just is a continuous scrolling thing of pictures of the kids, what's going on in our classroom, and updates on the school. I'm also going to use the 8 parents that were involved originally to get my other parents involved. Hopefully, if I have parents seeing other parents involved, it's going to have a bandwagon effect, and everyone's going to just want to jump on to our building program. I think that would be the best thing to help us. How did I respond to the diverse needs and interests of the community on an ongoing basis? Well, it's important to realize that not one means of communication is going to work for everybody. It's my job to continue to find different ways to reach out to all the members of my community. It was also important for me to have lots of different areas where parents and community members could help volunteer. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I think one of the biggest reasons that having the parents involved in the past failed was because their only option was to come in and help in the lunchroom. No one wants to do that. Parents want to be in the classroom. They want to see what their kids are doing. They want to go on the field trip. They want to help plan the class party. They want to see what's going on in the actual classrooms, in the workings of our school. They don't want to just be in the lunchroom for lunch duty. Lastly, I think it's important for us to have continuous and consistent meetings for our parent night. We might not be able to find a night that works for everybody, but say we had meetings on the third Wednesday of every week, or every month, excuse me. If parents know that's when it is a month ahead of time, we're going to have a way better chance of getting them there than saying, oh, hey, meeting next week Tuesday at 9 and meeting next week Monday at 7. We have to find a way to keep things consistent, clear, and concise so that our parents and our staff and our students know what's going on and know how they can get more involved if they want to. Lastly, how did I mobilize community resources to address and help solve problems in ways that support the school? Well, like I mentioned, after I got my core group of parents involved, I had them help me reach out to other community members. I went with power and numbers approach because if we get one, we can get two more, and two can turn to four, four to eight, eight to 16. That's kind of my goal. If everyone can find one friend to help join the program before long, we're going to end up having most of the community involved. Um, Once other community members get involved, it's going to support the school with just such endless possibilities. We could start a work-study program with our small business owners. We could just get everybody more involved, and I think creating a positive atmosphere around our school district and our community is going to be one of our biggest things when we're trying to get everybody involved. That's my last slide.